Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra, um, welcome to this morning's meditation, followed by a talk. So take a couple of moments to secure your space and, most importantly, your full attention so that you're not going to be distracted or restless or irritable by anything, but you just said during this first good half an hour meditation with short prayers at the beginning and then followed by teachings, I will stay very calm and peaceful in the meditative state. So with this in mind, bring your thoughts and attention. At the very beginning, I do short prayer, which is traditionally what we call refuge. This refuge is just really affirmation of our own confidence in following a way of life that really agrees to our heart and that is truth to you. And so in this case, people who follow and practice the way of the Buddha have great sort of commitment and sense of solace and peace by having found a Buddha or having discovered the way of awakening. Buddha isn't a god. Buddha means just the light within us that is inspired by the historical Buddhas, these immaculate teachings and practice and discipline, how we adopt a principle in our life and try to live by them. So therefore, the prayer at the very beginning is once a renewal of that commitment to follow the way of the Buddha, his teachings, and be part of the Holy Sangha, the community who believes in that, so that one has actually a sense of belonging and not thinking, I'm not part of this, I'm not part of that, and then feel very out of place everywhere, and therefore we feel very alone and lonely. A lot of people do that. So in Buddhism, the refuge helps you not to feel alienated by your egotism, but become humble and befriended by everyone who shares these teachings. So as I chant this refuge prayer, you can imagine yourself in the presence of the Holy Buddha and his enlightened community. Some people say when you take refuge, think of my teacher or something. That's a very Lamaistic way of saying, Even in Vajrayana Buddhism, it doesn't say you should visualize your teacher in the historical form. It never says it should be visualized in the form of the Buddha, whether the kind of Nirmanakaya aspect or Sambhogakaya aspect. So I have witnessed quite a few Tibetan following practitioners or Tibetan Buddhists, they always unhesitatingly say, visualize His Holiness or somebody like that. But in the text, it never says that. Even if your teacher is someone like His Holiness, you should never visualize him in his person, in his conventional physical body. You should visualize him in the form of Buddha, Vajradhara, and so on. So therefore, it's important not to confuse person with Buddha, because Buddha is so rare. And while we are really, really devoted and dedicated to the lineage, but we should not sort of bring down the Buddha in a form of a human person. And that's why people mistakenly think they have refuge in some teacher or lineage, which is really, really wrong, which is so divisive. And that's why the Buddhism is so fragmented, because people think they take refuge in this lineage, that teacher, and so on, which isn't the case. So therefore, taking refuge in Buddha refers to the fully enlightened one, whose body is not a mortal form. His body is an immaculate nature of light. And if you do visualize at all, but if you don't visualize, just think in your mind wholeheartedly what Buddha is to you, and then try to instill a confidence and faith in that. Most importantly, in the teachings, the Dharma, and then that much more to the Sangha who has given you the Dharma. So it is reflecting on that. First to the refuge. Buddha Dharma Sangha Aire Viete Ladama Bhava ju aje da la ajare vada adove yenda bu da da ra ma zanga aitere piete la de me by virtue aje da la ajare vada adove zanje je dan zo je jo namala janje bara da ne ja zo je da ge je so je be zo namanje ra la be je zanje do bara jo. So that's the refuge. And next is reflecting on the four very important practices or the teachings. There are those who have really good refuge in the Buddha and his way of life and teachings of nonviolence. Their first and most important practice is commitment to practice loving kindness, to be kind to all sentient beings. Not just to one or two people who loves us or we love them, but those who are very in difficult situations, even them, we should treat them with lovingly and kindly, so as to increase their friendship and comfort and respect, and so that we try to give something that they lack, but they may make them happy. So that's a loving kindness. To commitment, renewing the commitment to practice loving kindness. That's really Buddhist. And then when you get to try to be giving and making some people happy, they can really barely be happy, because the happiness that that they can get is only from their own good karma. Therefore they have to be empowered to create the causes happiness, and then we know that they are so disabled to create their own happiness, and that's why they have so much sorrow that they can't remove on their own. So therefore, compassion is how can we assist them to relieve their sorrow and the causes of sorrow, and therefore commitment to practice, renewing the commitment to practice compassion to those who are very close and near. People practice compassion, but they get really resentful in a little while, and so that often defeats the very purpose. So practicing compassion. And so the third one is that when you practice loving kindness and compassion in each day, whatever you can, and not worry about what you can't, then you will have a degree of joy, joy that you did not resent, joy that you do not have ill will or anger, anything like that, and therefore your joy comes from absence of ill will and absence of resentment and enmity in your mind. And that is really good result. So that's a joyfulness. People who are joyful, this joy is not dependent on material things. Its joy is a good mind. It can give you the joyfulness. So that's why, so commitment practice joyfulness. You have really joy. Small things you can do that really make a difference to your situation and others, and then you feel really delighted and joyful. That's joyfulness. Try to remember small things, small friendships, and cherish them. Don't try to aim the biggest one. Try to have small things, and then you will find lots of joys. And then last is equanimity. If should you not be successful to make happy those close and near to you, and cannot overcome problems with difficult people, you should just don't give up on them, but practice a little bit of equanimity. So don't be too driven in having your way only. So try to take a few steps back and look at it with some kind of indifference and equanimity. Give yourself a breathing space. Oh, that's a really important. So these four are called four immeasurables. So these following prayers really express these sentiments. Om Eho happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from her judgment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those near and far. O Zemje Damje Dewa Dan De Juda and Dembara Juju Donga Da Donga Juju Da and Dora Juju Donga Mebe Dewa Da Medawa Juju Nyere Jada Nyeda and Deve Da Nyola Nebar Juju. So now we'll do the meditation in 3 slots, 3 lots of 10 minutes. I will lead a couple of minutes before each section. Otherwise, you just stay very attentive, engaging in that very technique calmly, one-pointedly. So in this first slots of the meditation, keep your body as your main object of focus, the posture of the body from the feet all the way to the crown. Keep your back straight, that connects the crown and the bottom. Your hands on the lap in the meditation gesture. Your eyes half open, serene, peaceful. Soft gaze, not blinking them, no tightly shut. Lips and teeth left natural, tongue slightly curled inside the upper teeth, chin slightly tucked in, back straight, shoulders balanced. In this way, try to maintain the stillness as a grounded quality of earth, balance as a quality of watering, quality of fluid element, and awareness and sharp concentration as a blazing right effort of fire element. And very insightful and very knowledgeable why one is meditating, with great certitude of mobility of inside of air element. Try to blend all these 4 elements harmoniously. As you sit in the correct posture, these 4 will blend, and check and correct the posture as you scan up and down, and remain very calm. And try to use the pace of your scanning, rounds of scanning, about half a dozen times. Make a very sharp and very concentrated effort. And after that bout is completed, say 6 rounds, Take a short and sharp, meaningful break. And then quickly repeat another bout of effort to fix your attention to the conscious positioning of the body, knowing the qualities, four elements are blended, and feel balanced and equanimous, calm, serene. And scan the posture mindfully without any wavering of the attention. keeping the posture as the good foundation. Now we shift our focus on the incoming breath. When we're inhaling, we do the inhaling, know something positive comes in the breath, which we see the white oxygen, body of all goodness comes in, and we'll feel inspired. Likewise, as the breath permeates in your lung, you mindfully do the permeation. Know it is touching and soothing all the cells and tissues. Witness the red blood cells spreading everywhere, and then feel rejuvenated. And then as you exhale, consciously breathe out the carbon with which the tiredness, the tension, fear, or whatever difficulties, one out breath, witness it go with the carbon and feel a sigh of relief. In this way, pay meticulous attention with each qualified round breath, qualified by the good quality of doing, knowing, seeing, feeling the rounds of breath. Do no more than 6 or 8 rounds, and after each time, one bout of that, take a useful mini break. And then again repeat another bout with sharp, clear and steady concentration. One-pointedly focusing on doing good, qualified round breathing one after another. And take a mini break after each round bout of effort, and try to increase your steady, one-pointed attention of calm, abiding meditation without any touch of idleness or lack of interest or distraction or forgetfulness, but fully mindfully with good degree of introspection. calmly keeping your posture of the body. Now, during this last section of the meditation, we'll focus doing very good, qualify round the breathing. But after end of each exhalation, you do the counting. First, we do forward counting. As high a number you expect to do, such as 21. If you succeed to reaching that count without losing the count by doing each round carefully, and then take a mini break when you reach 21, and then try to do reverse counting from 21 to 20 and then 19 and so on. If you lose the count, never mind. Instead of getting agitated, just take a mini break and start again. In this way, try to increase the clearer and resolution of your concentration by not just doing the qualified round of breathing, but being able to undistractedly able to count the rounds of breath as a way of increasing your endurance of the concentration and quality and clarity of the concentration. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me. So, hope you have been doing the meditation with me. I'm not quite sure about how many people are joining with the meditation. Anyway, so the topic of this morning's talk is karmic stagnation, a test of faith. And so it's very important to feel why things are happening or not happening the way you don't like it or you don't want it. And people think there's some kind of a karmic pattern in which they feel stuck, and it seems like as they are more like they're more stuck in a situation which they don't know why that is happening, and then they may even question the validity of the law of causality. So therefore, it's definitely a challenge or test of faith, if one has any, in one's understanding and belief and faith in the law of karma. Because the law of karma is actually, without having to believe in it, everything happens due to the causes and conditions that is giving rise to a situation. But then the very situation itself doesn't have one finite effect. It too will be determined by how do we take it, or how do we don't take it, and what kind of set of mind stream we have that enables us to exhaust the karmic pattern. Or sometimes the thing that happens to us is a kind of unpleasant kind of effect on us, and because of our inability to accept that situation, that we can react in a very negative way, even not very actively, but we deep down, outwardly, we're not saying anything or doing anything, but deep down we are not totally humbly accepting that situation as it is, because we do not have just as a clear mindset that understand why things are happening. We often cannot have the ability. We do not have the ability to see why things are happening to us. We don't really know that our own mental kind of attitude itself is not quite receptive to anything that happens. So there is a kind of underlying resentment and cynicism why things happen, and one doesn't seem to have power to accept it and then have the ability to transform it. So karmic stagnation that people feel is that they themselves do not have any kind of power or wisdom or ability to change the attitude. They don't have an emotional tone that can be changed from one to another. There is kind of fixed kind of attitude. So that's why the stagnation, idea of being stuck. But so therefore, sometimes it could be mainly caused by one's own lack of positive attitude for the time being, where one is not able to take on any more like that. As a result of that, one has this list of things about which one has not been happy or contented with life, with what has or has not been happening with one's life, because of these kind of attitude with which one has been resenting, very, 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 very subtly speaking. Outwardly, one might say, yes, I'm fine, but deep down, one is not. One is actually this really suppressing those emotions, and then deep down, one has no way to turn to. one feels, why me? What all the good things I try to do isn't rewarded, but all the things that I don't want are happening with me, and because of that, one has a almost like a doubt about the law of cause and effect, or whether by doing good is rewarded at all at any time, or whether others who do things, they seem to get away what they do, even though they're negative. They seem to be taking advantage. So lots of people can have this doubt and kind of a concern whether whether the law of karma is real or true or not. They don't. So of course, law of cause and effect is not should not be really questioned. The question is that whether we have the fitness to face difficulties, because karma doesn't mean the fixed kind of result. It could have a very. The result is very much determined by how we will relate to it. When we have the very good positive state of mind, we may be able to accept some defeats or insult or by others. Why? Because we love them or we respect them, or but deep down, one is still really, why me? Why I have to do this again? Oh yes, of course, if I don't do, who will do? Then one give in again. So there's this kind of a lack of confidence in doing one either way, but one is always trying to play the soft way to not to upset other people, and then one thinks, oh, I'm doing this, I'm getting exactly what I at least want because of the way I'm not able to do. So this kind of karmic stagnation happens. Usually the people have people in their lives, or situation in their life that are a result of their own karmic attachment. Some of them might be your children or your brother or sister or someone who's loved one very close to you. Because of your attachment to them as my son or my brother or my sister and so on, then you seem to be very much affected by what's happening or not happening to the other, more than you yourself have a say to do anything. And this kind of bundled up karma, what they would call karma that is bundled up, that these two people have to suffer like that together, or that we have to have someone like that is so close to our life, in our life, that we feel committed to, but more committed we are for their well-being, that much we suffer as a result of that commitment. So that kind of karmic stagnation has been paired quite a while ago, maybe even in the past lives, and most probably in the past life, what one did together to somebody. Now oneself and somebody is suffering so much in this life at the hands of some other people. So therefore, the person who is experiencing this kind of karma of being insulted or hurt or kind of treated with contempt or abuse or whatever, because if that happens to you, it happens to the other, because you two are so inseparably bound by your karmic pattern. They are like that. People just have so much attachment to their son or daughter or husband or wife, and at the same time they have just as much as anger and hatred towards them, and they love so much so, but they keep hating them. So this kind of stagnation is mainly caused by afflictions. When the affliction causes, most people aren't aware that the affliction is causing. And that's why they call affliction. Affliction just makes you to become unaware of what situation oneself has brought upon oneself. One has ability of course, to say, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't need to suffer like this anymore. Even you are my such and such. I need to get out of this. And one doesn't have the courage to do that. But because once unfinished karma from the past, he says, so these two has been bundled, but they could not part from each other because of their emotional attachment, not only in this life, but also the unfinished karma from the past, which is therefore stagnating oneself in that same situation. So therefore, in order to learn to accept that with humbleness and humility, one needs to believe in the benefit of accepting those situations, and as a result of past. The result of the past, you could not reject it. If you reject it, it is creating more causes for the future to snowball on top of that. Therefore, the stagnation can only be relieved if one has a very positive attitude with which one actually respond in a very positive way and accepted the humility, and then that can exhaust the causes that has been snowballing. So therefore, test of faith, is that if you really believe in what you're thinking is a cause, and this, if you're not very careful, your intention itself is going to cause the problem either to escalate or de-escalate, depending what intention you invest. So you have to be really intentionally attentive as to what set of circumstances are perpetuating itself because of our lack of ingenuity or creativity or innovation. When you have the kind of faith in the workings of the law of karma, if I accept this right now with humility and dignity and understanding, it will at least exhaust the problem. It will weaken the problem from staying strong and escalating it. When you have that kind of belief, you don't feel stagnated by the problems, but the problems are actually making you to make a very smart response. If you have a smart response emotionally, intellectually, and behaviorally as well, then this can not only test your faith, but not just in test of faith and a blind faith, but test of faith in terms of confidence. You know that you have to bear these difficulties, hardships now, in order to not become stagnated. Stagnated, but previously rejected, you also rejecting now. So stagnation comes from this lack of innovation. So if one is able to respond very creatively, to accept with humility as unresolved karma of the past, let me accept it with humility, and as a result of my accepting of that, then you have faith that if you accept it, it will change your attitude for the next if it was going to repeat itself. Why? Because you're habituating to do something that is based on your faith in the workings of the law of cause and effect. Because the cause is not so much what happens out there that makes us experience, but mainly we never experience what people did to us. We actually experience what our attitude is doing to us in the long run. It may seem like other people screamed at or yelled at you or put you down, that is making you feel bad. But your weak and very kind of vulnerable attitude can double the trouble. But if you have the very positive and holistic attitude towards them, not seeing it as them, but rather seeing that as a result of set of circumstances, even somebody angry makes you angry, that means if you are achieving something, If someone is angry at you, you shouldn't think it's them. That's the kind of situation they are under, and you don't need to subscribe to that. If you subscribe to that, you will generate enmity and aversion, and then this can exacerbate your karmic stagnation even more. So how do we know we are karmically stagnated, but that we are actually not changing our attitude about a problem at all? We just say it's under their evil hand or their evil reaction, I suffer again and again. So you tend to lump everything up without actually learning to add the facts carefully together. So when you are unable to add the facts together, you're only sort of focusing on lumping things up. Why this happened to me? I'm stuck in this. I cannot go like this at all. But one is, because you have been keeping the kind of pile-o-lite going, all this aversion and enmity. And yeah, so the cause, that is the cause. Cause of your stagnation is the negative, destructive, unintelligent emotions. When you can see the negative as negative and destructiveness as destructive, then you can learn to put a stop to that, put a stop to those. Then the stagnation will be stopped. Like say if your shoestring is tied between the door and the hinge when you go out, you have shoes stuck in the string. So you got to know why the shoe is not coming out, because stuck with the string is attached to the hinge, and then unless you go and open the door and undo with that, no matter how much you pull, you feel stuck, Just like that as an example. People feel really, really stuck. They didn't realize how their shoestring-like attachment is holding them back, They don't have the ability to say to the son or saying, look, I cannot have you anymore. Please, you live somewhere. Leave me alone. You try to sort your life on your own. I cannot do this anymore. One doesn't have that courage to say because one is very attached to it. See? So the karmic stagnation is caused by one's attachment. One moment, one thing is that because of the sun's problem that you are stagnated, but another moment you can realize, it's my own attachment or love to the sun. One doesn't want to let go. One doesn't want to risk some kind of a difficulty temporarily, but actually teach them to grow strong by themselves. You're spoiling themselves in one regards without knowing you are. And so whatever difficult happens to them, it becomes your difficulty. Why? Not because their difficulty affects you more than anybody else, but you're attached to them. If your son's father, your husband doesn't take the similar amount of brand of what's happening to the son, it's because he's not so much attached to it. Yeah, so you need to choose kind of emotions that you are giving rise to, what it is contributing to. See, when you can recognize subjectively your own attitude needing to be modified and changed, then you're not stagnated. Then you know exactly what change you need to bring from within. When you know how to bring this change from within, that's the taste of faith. You then are able to take up some new approaches that you haven't tried, and therefore, if you're able to adopt a new approach to the problem, unlike before, you're not stuck, is it? You have given yourself an alternative opinion or your reaction to it. As soon as you are able to give you the power of choice in your mind, then you have the great. Almost like a new horizon opens before you. You don't feel stagnated at one spot, one place. Why? You are not seeing the stagnation as external condition, but rather your internal condition. You're so unaware of your own attitudes of the situation. Because of that, you feel stagnated. As soon as you know I'm being suffocated by myself by having this attachment to my son or to somebody, and then you don't feel as much as impacted or impinged by the things that doesn't go well with your son, because you know that what you can do, you can. What you can't do, you're not worrying even for your son. This is very important, very intelligent way of doing it. Your son cannot say, my dad doesn't think about me anymore. He may think like that, but doesn't matter. Let him think like that, but you know deep down that's not the case. The case is you are trying to bring some fresh outlook to the set of circumstances that was not going anywhere before. So any alternative is a daring kind of ability to give a new perspective to the set of circumstances. When you're able to do that, then your test of faith will enable yourself to imagine. Imagine something good can come as long as you can let go of something that is holding you, that is actually holding you and weighing you down lower and lower and lower. So to be free from that, you should cut the string that is you're attached to, and therefore cause a little bit of distance. And you don't see your flow very clearly unless you do that. You know, one is always externalizing the flow of somebody else's problem that is impinging on me. When you have the test of faith happening and your faith is now growing and increasing with your own faith in not some divine intervention here, faith in the causes, the emotional and verbal and intellectual kind of tips you can bring into your mind, these can unstuck yourself. So it's good to have detachment even to your son. What you can't do, don't worry too much. So, but yet you don't have the skill to do that. You can't say, no, he's my son. You know, they say, as your son is truly existing son. You know, of course, it's your son is your son, but what you can do for him and what you cannot do for him is only partially your responsibility, but not entirely responsible. Why? Because the person, as your son or child, has his own set of karma. They need to come and grow up and learn to take. And so you don't need to die for nothing for them, because you can't revive them. You can't revive them unless they themselves revive them. In order for them to be revived or restore their dignity in doing something, we need to predispose something, some signal that actually teaches them, don't become overly dependent on me, because I cannot. I feel more stuck with putting my emotional instabilities in you as objects of love or concern or care or whatever. It is actually depleting my own fitness to be of useful to myself, let alone being able to make a difference to you or others. Because of that, give me the break, so much so that I can learn to reinvent myself and find a new way. So that is the testing of faith. Your faith is now not dented by the difficulty you face, but it has teaching you new courage, new daring ability, and a strategy that will open your mind for a new way of doing things. And then the karma doesn't get stuck. You know, karma itself is not a thing. You know, karma is just a set of circumstances. So when you're able to sort of create causes to soften the problem itself, then you're no longer the problem and no longer the victim of the problem either. You actually are a solver of the problem. And it's important that you don't make scream and yell about existence of the problem. When it comes to solving, you do nothing. Why are you so good at spotting problems and alarming yourself or others when you're not contributing anything to solve the problem? That is what most people feel. They can see the problem, they can talk about the problem, but when it to solve the problem, they are not taking any initiative. So, test of faith is those people who have seen themselves doing that part too many times, now wanted to reinvent themselves how to overcome those difficulties with one's ingenuity and ability to embrace and look for new horizons. So therefore, one is not looking for immediate feel-good result. You know, one is almost need to have to forecast. If I think like this, it will really allay and remove many of the hindrances I'm currently facing. But even though I may have a very shortfall of being able to overcome that now, but inconvenience, never mind, difficulties, never mind, because it teaches me to develop the very skill I lack now, and therefore you are quite willing to temporarily go through a tough and difficult situation, knowing that this will teach us the skill that we lack now. Because of that, you're not kind of you're not ignoring what you're suffering now, but you are actually using the present suffering as something to exhaust the kind of conditions that your mind is usually so stagnated with, so that you will this time you will develop a response that you are not repeatedly perpetuating it yourself. So that this kind of self-perpetuation has to be acknowledged by the self that it knows it is doing it. If somebody else saying you are doing this yourself, we wouldn't like it because we think they are implicating us, or they're just laying blame on us and pointing our flaws. Sure, that's right. So if we have great difficulties of citing and spotting our own flaws, if somebody points that to us, don't you think that a great opportunity for you to embrace that problem, that you yourself couldn't have recognized that, but someone else has pointed. So it's not so much somebody who's praising to you that you become delighted, but someone who's really able to face you and point what they see is your problem, and then see that as a great I would say, catalyst for yourself to be able to have the positive response to it, in order not to overreact and react to it in a negative way, because that itself will create the karmic pattern perpetuated. But when one is predisposing and learning to do something completely contrary to it, that you haven't tested that water before, but when you try to do it, then it will make yourself not stuck. It will make yourself opening a new way. You're not stuck. If this doesn't go away the way you like, then you think that's a doomed. No. You need to see what, because of that didn't work. What kind of new avenues and opportunities it should enable me to open and find and discover. So when you have that, there's amazing infinite possibility. If this way you can't cross the river, maybe you can cross downstreams. If you can't cross the river downstreams, you can go upstreams. If you cannot cross the river neither by going upstreams nor by downstreams, then how can you cross the river where you are? Is it that you lack? Is it that you lack a boat or something like that, or what? What are you talking about? If you have a boatman, if even you don't have a boatman, you can't really cross yourself. You need to find someone who is a boatman. So it's not so much the river is swelling and cannot cross upstreams or downstreams, but because you need to find the river itself as that instigate a new kind of a strategy. So learn yourself as you go, on the spot. So then when you're able to develop that, you are not sort of pessimistically discouraged to look for other avenues when you have those difficulties, because you're not stuck in the karmic kind of a stagnation, but rather you are able to witness the karma, but you can see how fluid the karma is. This way or that way, you have extraordinary opportunity to turn this to that, or from that to this. And when you have the alternatives, you need to therefore give the degree of patience and tolerance until it exceedingly make it clear to your mind how to go about. This kind of innovation or resilience in you will therefore not dent your morale and become aversive and difficult with the situation, but rather you will be able to relook at it and look at it from another angle and try to solve the problem in a very, very patient but consistent manner. And solving one problem doesn't mean it will solve all the problems. Solving one problem may enable you to discover new problems. And so therefore, if you are so impatient to any new problems and you can't handle them anymore, so that's again the karmic stagnation. When there is the test of faith happening, how to overcome the karmic stagnation, is you don't lump the present set of circumstances with the things that didn't work. What was past and what is present are a huge gap. of discrepancies. So therefore, neither lump those two or yourself with the past or in any other way. When you're able to do that, your mind becomes slightly set. You have reset your mind, basically. Yeah, you have reset your mind. If something isn't working, reset your mind, and don't think that you can't try again. Yeah, try again, but different ways, and then you do not see yourself a whim at the doing of other people's action, but you will see yourself having ingenuity and creativity to develop a new way of doing it. When you can reset your mind, then the object is also slightly different, and you have an approach that is already very new and fresh. When you are able to open new alternative and reset your mind, and you can see differently on the object. As soon as you reset your mind, the object or circumstances or people will not manifest as you thought they were. Why? Because you have reset your mind. If you don't reset the mind, that's what you are oscillating, or you are just going in circle one too many times to feel very, very samsarically trapped. So to know you are trapped and to be free from the entrapment, you have to find a way. And the causes of entrapment and how to deconstruct the causes of the entrapment. And when one is able to access these through your thinking and sometimes quiet sitting and a meditation, maybe you're doing the very conscious watching of the round of breath, and while you're doing that, you have witnessed a new opportunity for the mind to try that one has not previously given a try at all. So because of that, you have this bright new idea. New idea means Dharma is a refreshingly new idea. It always, when you pay heed to the Dharma, it always makes you to see the object or circumstances in a very transformative way. Dharma means to transform. You have to transform your mindset. You need to reset your mind and not become so addicted to one way or another, and then if that doesn't work, you give up, fed up with that. No. Everything is impermanent, including your failure, including your so your failure can. When you have failed many times, you should know how differently you should do next step. See, all the failings are actually interdependently necessary for you to succeed this time. So it is important to not feel as if you have no testable faith left because you have tried all your things and they all become ineffective. People can be very pessimistic and therefore give up on themselves, give up on others, and they just don't care. They become so cynical and so uncaring even for themselves, let alone others. They just got tired of doing anything for the others because they just didn't get anything what they want, karmically speaking. So they are stuck like, poor me. I didn't get anything what I want. Why on earth I'm doing this sort of thing? There is this self-belting and self-sabotaging happening. Because of that, there's a lot of grief and sadness and sorrow. And one is externalizing and resenting that to someone out there as we are suffering under their hand. So that's the stagnation. Karmic stagnation. Now, one who knows the science of this then becomes very, very informed and almost discover your mind. And you can find your mind and the truth. And then you say, look, I don't need to go on this path that I've gone so many years or months that I don't need to be cornered by this kind of circumstances because I'm stupid, foolish to stay like this long. I should have woken up and revolutionize myself to look at these problems on the problems of the world complete from different point of view. And when you have meditated unless you meditate, it's very difficult. This kind of clarity of mind comes. You got to sit and watch the rounds of breath, and while looks like you're watching the round of breath, or whether counting or whatever you're doing, but in the process of doing that, some kind of clarity dawns in your mind that suggests you to look from this way about that problem. And when you have that kind of lending, when you can lend your attention to that kind of fresh idea, then you can see how something quickly shifts to your liking, and very brightly lit you become. And because of that, all the difficulties that karmically that you experience would have now paid the price. Would have now released yourself from that kind of a stagnation, and it has now taught you a very bright and sane approach that you may adopt from here onwards. Particularly no self-hatred, no poor me attitude. If there is no poor me and self-hatred attitude, you're that much tolerant and generous to the people in your lives, and as a result of that, you don't feel stuck having in their lives and their problems affecting you, but you don't feel stuck with them. You feel committed to help them. When you don't want to help, you feel stuck. When you wanted to help them, committed, it doesn't feel stuck. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. You're the only son, or you're the only whatever it is to the person. If you don't do it, who will do? So you don't feel as if they owe something to you, or you've done too much for them, and why should I do? Not that kind of mean attitudes, but exactly opposite of that. Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I be committed to my only sister or only son or only this? Who else should be doing that? Because I have my own self-interest to the well-being of my sister or my whatever. So therefore, any aches and pains and anger related to her naturally comes with that. So if you plant a tree, you don't just get the tree, but you get leaves and branches and barks and all sorts of things. You may not like the barks, but you still have to get. It still comes with the tree. And if you're interested in that main trunk of the tree and not in the barks, but still you have to cause the felling of the tree and then remove the barks separately and not use them as a furniture or whatever. But they themselves it comes with it. You can't buy without banana leaf, banana peel. You go to the shop and ask them to sell the banana without banana peel. Most people say, "What the hell are you doing about?" So you're stuck to buy banana with banana peels. Okay, you don't realize how much the banana peel actually protect the banana even from the shop to the home, let alone in your fridge in your home. So we have to accept certain things instead of. The reason we have to accept is because it's got some function. Banana peel has some function to protect the banana for its lifespan. However, it is good enough to keep. The longer you need to keep, that much more the banana peel is necessary. If you unpeel a banana this morning, saying that I don't like banana peels, and then leave that unpeeled banana with other bananas, then in the afternoon you will see your unpeeled bananas are still okay, but peeled banana is not okay because you unpeeled this morning, it's been sitting there. So therefore, it is important to be able to see how many of the problems that you think you don't want are actually has a function for you. Because if your sister needs you, it's because you are a sister. Who's the nearest and dearest to your sister other than you? There's no one. So why do you feel so unwilling to give and help to your only sister? you think you're stuck. You don't have a choice to not to do. If you didn't do, you feel grateful, regretful, and guilty. I didn't do this. If you did it, you think, why should I be doing this? And that is kind of a self-caused, self-karmic stagnation. So in order to stay unstuck from the stagnation, we need to then innovatively develop a new strategy and approach, and that only comes when your mind is very clear. So you need to see how you can refresh your mind, reset the mind, and then don't see the object as identical to your attitude. See how much of the object is blurred by your attitude about the object. When you do that, you are seeing your mind. And when you see your mind, you don't have to associate that attitude with this or with them, and put that attitude somewhere, and you can always revisit it whether you like it. Otherwise, you can do away with that attachment, with that opinion. People are suffering self-opinions most of the time, and that not knowing that is a delusion, affliction. One who knows that will not allow that to continue and continue to cause that harm to oneself or others. So with this, we will conclude here this talk. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. So there will be Jeff Newton, who will be taking the next Sunday session, the meditation talk, who's one of our members who will be running the Sunday session next week, because I will be in retreat. So thank you very much, everyone. Very much take care, and I'll do a short dedication of merits. Om Bade Mere Me Havaga Dadeva Menzanga Omneza Me Ale Bere Obe from the ocean of Badare Sinade Herenda Mahayana Jiji Vadeva Merera me obe beganzela to hoda mahayana jiji jamba ba jeda jamba da kundu sambe de yan de jand te da kunje jesu da loji gewan de da danje radu Janju Zunju Rimboje Maje Bana Maje Juraje Yeba Nyamba Mebaye Gonya Gondu Bewarajo. Hi, thank you.